Good afternoon and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. There's a couple of bits of breaking news regarding Celtic players this afternoon. The first one is obviously about Daniel Cummins, who is scoring on average 1 goal a game when it comes to the B team level, and was also given a place on the bench against Aston Villa away at Birmingham in the Champions League, due to the fact that we had the need for another striker on the bench after what happened. And tomorrow he heads down to West Ham. It's been reported the 18-year-old Celtic striker will arrive in London tomorrow to have his medical. As a source in London have said that Daniel Cummins has signed a pre-contract agreement. We revealed this back on the 7th of February that he finalised it. He's now been given the authority to finalise the transfer with the club. West Ham will pay a small compensation to be around in the region around about 250 to 350k after failing with a £500,000 offer to sign the player in January. They did come into Celtic with an offer and said, we'll take him off your hands now for 500 grand. Brendan Rodgers said, no, we don't want to sell him just now because we just sold Kyogo Furiashi. And Brendan Rodgers was still trying to talk the player into staying at Celtic. When you look at it, it's another player that's left the B team. Is leaving the B team and heading out the door. It doesn't say too good for Brendan Rodgers, who is known for bringing on youth, and it's one thing he doesn't seem to be able to do at Celtic. But there's another side to this story, because Daniel Cummins has the same agency as Kyogo Furiashi has, the CAA group. Now, it might be just complete coincidence that they both have the same agency, or it could be the fact that, they're actively looking to get their players better deals away from Celtic, which seems to be the case. I mean, Daniel Cummins was obviously made an offer by Celtic. Brendan Rodgers told the player to look at the way that Callum McGregor went out on loan, came back, first team regular, now captain of the team. James Forrest has been forever in the team. And when you look at Kieran Tierney came through the system and was sold for 25 million. Brendan Rodgers also gave him that bit of belief in him as a player by bringing him on in the Champions League. Now, you could say it was done and dusted against Aston Villa, but it was letting him know that this is the level that he could be playing at. It's very unlikely that West Ham are going to get into the Champions League anytime soon. And the player leaving Celtic to go down to West Ham is just for the cash, and to hopefully then try and get another deal at another club sometime in the future. Will he break into the first team at West Ham? Well, you never know, but he's not going to be playing Champions League football, that's for sure. Brendan Rodgers has said to not only Daniel Cummins, but several other Celtic B team players, go out on loan, have your football education, come back after a year, and then at 18-year-old, you have to be a very special player, especially to play up front. I mean, you have to be, there was an Everton player who broke through into the ranks at 18-year-old. And went on to be a goal-scoring legend down in England and at Manchester United. He's nowhere near that type of talent. He's not ready to break into the first team as yet. He could have been second-choice striker, but that now is Johnny Kenny, who listened to the Celtic backroom staff. He was signed by Celtic. He came in, he went into the B team at Celtic. He then left and went out on loan for a couple of seasons. He's now second-choice striker at Celtic, and I think Brendan Rodgers is right to put all his effort into Johnny Kenny, a player that wants to be here. So it must have been something must have happened in the background, and the deal's been done, and Celtic are now obviously saying to him, well, you're not going to play for us until the end of the season now. That's it, you've made your mind up. We're not going to give you any game time. We're going to focus fully on players that want to be at the club and want to stay at the club and will be here after the summer. People will say, well, why are we playing Greg Taylor? It's a completely different kettle of fish, and we're still in the Champions League, and we're still fighting on all fronts and all trophies. But something has to be done at Celtic. We seem to be going backwards, and I've spoke about this at the end of the transfer window. You can go through a period of managed decline. You can reduce the wage bill, and this is what I don't mean. I mean, I've spoke about this many times. You can go through a period of managed decline where you reduce the wage bill but keep on winning, and that's what we're doing right now at Celtic once again. I thought we'd maybe got rid of those days. I thought we'd maybe, the way that we went into the transfer market, I thought we'd maybe got over that as a club and been more forward thinking. Give it a couple of years, we'll be playing at Sunderland. I don't even give it a couple of years. If I look at Ben Doak, he went down to Liverpool and he thought he was going to go into the first team at Liverpool. These young players, they're going for one thing, and it's the money. They know that they're not going to walk into the first team down there, but they know that they can go down there and they can get 10 grand a week. And that's the difference. And they're just thinking about their money. I mean, he can go to Sunderland on loan. And when you look at it, he might do absolutely nothing. And West Ham are going to go, he's not going to make it as a player. But then they've got an asset that they can sell for 2 or 3 million. I mean, what they're paying to Celtic for him is peanuts. They'll be able to sell him in a couple of years' time for a couple of million. If they get 3 or 4 million for him, it's happy days as far as they're concerned. It's a fantastic piece of business. He's never going to make it to that top level, then so be it. They're not really fussy. They just want to get the asset at a young age with the potential. So yeah, Gary, I completely get that. A couple of years he'll be playing at Sunderland. Apart from 30 grand a week for Sloop. Yeah, it's funny how we're paying 30 grand a week for Sloop, but it's the left back position again. We sold a left back that was doing absolutely fantastic in South America. Came to Celtic, couldn't do it, and then we bring in Sloop. There's no use even, we're going over old ground. Greg Taylor and Cummins can both do one, says Paul Baird. Brendan wants less numbers and more quality. Well, we've got the less numbers, but we don't have the more quality now. Brendan Rodgers is also on record saying, Mikey, that we're a bit thin on the ground. We're a bit thin on the ground. If you're going to be thin on the ground, you have to bring in higher quality on a bigger wage bracket then, and we've not done that. Jeffrey Sloop isn't the answer if Greg Taylor leaves in the summer. Jeffrey Sloop will not be getting paid 30 grand a week to sit on the bench. Not a jot. If they were going to do that, you would pay Greg Taylor the 25 grand a week that he's wanting. Scrap the God cross-border bullshit. Brendan wants that. I've done that one. So anyway, yeah, that is the breaking news today. There is also another ongoing situation. It's maybe one that you don't want to hear about, but Newcastle have been linked with Nico Kuhn again. They sent up someone again to watch Nico Kuhn yesterday. They only have one right winger at the club, and they are still looking at Kuhn. They keep on. Kuhn, meanwhile, has been one of the star players north of the border. The Shields Gazette says, and it says Celtic were very reluctant to see him leave. Are very reluctant to see him leave this summer. That'll be interesting. That was last summer. They were very reluctant to see him leave last summer. The under-20 international German player is a key player for Brendan Rodgers, and he's a big fan of his star man. He does not want to lose him. Rodgers said last week in the Mail, he indicated that Newcastle United scouts had been watching Kuhn in action against various teams, and it's not looking good. It's not looking good. This story just will not go away. Will Newcastle put in a bid for Nico Kuhn in the summer? Paul Baird says Taylor's not worth 25 pence. Leeds are also interested, according to some media outlets. I don't think he'll go to Leeds, but then you never know. And the funny thing is Leeds actually sell more merchandise financially than Celtic, which is unbelievable to think that they sell more Adidas merch than Celtic. Anyway, that's your afternoon breaking news. A young Celtic B team player officially goes down to London to seal his medical. Tomorrow, Nico Kuhn is still getting watched by Newcastle United, and Celtic play in the Champions League this week. It's all happening, isn't it? It's all happening. We'll be back at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning with a live And then we'll be back tomorrow evening, 8 o'clock, where we could talk about what potential team Brendan Rodgers will play. David Foster says Celtic will win the treble this year. They will not get past Bayern, but they've been successful in the Champions League. Yes, we have been. Does any of them look at the trophy cabinets beforehand? No, people just make the move for the money. Younger players they're not interested in. I think that when you come through the B team at Celtic and you want to move, you're moving for one thing, and it's a shame, because you would think as a young player you want to win things, but the way that the modern day agent is with younger players, it's all about, you've got a short career, you need to make as much money as you can, and that's the way that that's society today, isn't it? I mean, you just need to look online, and that basically is society. The youthful generation of today want it all handed to them on a plate, and they don't want to do any of the hard work, and that's the sad reality. Will a player go on to achieve his full potential? Maybe not. Will he win things? Probably not. That's the sad reality, that Daniel Cummins, by leaving Celtic, could be just another player in a long list of players that leave Celtic and win absolutely nothing. And what's he going to do when he retires? At the end of the day, is he going to sit down and say, I've got a little bit of money in the bank, but did I achieve anything at football? Not really. Never won anything. Don't know what it's like to pick up a winner's medal in the league. Don't know what it's like to play in the Champions League for Celtic. That was my dream, to play for Celtic. I played for them at B level. Anyway, that's it. Paul Baird gets the last word. He's saying hail to Davey and Big Des. Just been watching the Jam Tarts against Sevco. Never seen two contrived own goals. Hearts handed the win to them. Own goals? Oh, cheers. That's all we need, isn't it? Anyway, who cares about them? I shall see you tomorrow. On that note, have a fantastic